And welcome back to Around the Waves on KCOU 88.1 FM Columbia, the student voice of your Missouri Tigers. I'm Luca Vitale alongside me, Ryan Waelterman, Ben Schmidt, and Justin Kraft. Let's move on to the NFL. The glitz and glamour of Las Vegas aside, the 2022 NFL Draft became only the sixth time that a quarterback didn't go number one overall. A quarterback didn't even hear his name called until the 20 overall pick, which was Kenny Pickett, which is the lowest since 1997. So, Justin, I'll actually start with you here. Which selection from last night's NFL Draft surprised you the most?
I'd say for me, which selection really surprised me was Jacksonville going for Trayvon Walker as a first pick. I thought they were really going to go and get Aiden Hutchinson, which Aiden Hutchinson was picked next to Detroit. But I think that was definitely a steal for the Jaguars. They could have gone either way. This guy is a threat to be reckoned with. 6'5", 272 pounds. His 40-yard dash, 4.51. That's pretty fast off the line, especially for a D-end, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Something Jacksonville is definitely going to like.
Yeah, I that one was surprising me more the last couple of days ago because I feel like that did start getting dropped more and more, and it was very funny because it happens every year where someone stock completely rises as we get into combine season, and it happened once again this year with Trayvon Walker, a guy who was fantastic on the Georgia defense that was arguably one of the best college defenses of all time, but I don't think was necessarily a number one pick. It felt like for a long time there, the discussion was between Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson for number one, and then Trayvon Walker comes up like the fast riser. If you look in previous drafts, it always seems to happen where someone pops up well after the college season had ended. So that was certainly a surprise. What was very interesting to me and what I'm going to talk about here is the Detroit Lions, who I think made a very good move, coming all the way up to 12 to snag Jameson Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were at 32. They had the two picks. The 32 pick came from the Rams. They move up 20 spots, and in that trade that they made, they move up 20 spots. They gave up their pick at 34, but then grab another in 46 and give up their 66. So not bad whatsoever to come all the way up and add Jameson Williams. I like him as the best receiver in the draft. I think the thing that was preventing that was the ACL injury in the national championship. But, man, the speed that he possesses over the top, the only reason he even left Ohio State is because Ohio State had three great receivers of their own, and he went to be the alpha, the number one at Alabama. What he did through the SEC all season long, I thought was incredible. Over the top, underneath with the ball in his hands. He can do it multiple different ways because he's so fast, and he is going to very much help a Detroit Lions team that is kind of looking to take the next step. This definitely takes him out of the Debo running, like you were saying last week, Ryan. But still, you add Jameson Williams now to an offense with there's certainly talent there. Is Jared Goff the long-term answer? Don't think so.
Hell no.
But look all around the rest of the offense. You have in the backfield Swift and Jamal Williams. Wide receivers now have Jameson Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown was really good last year. Now you have him as the number two. And DJ Chark, who I forgot that they even signed until last night, who has put up some numbers in Jacksonville. TJ Hawkinson at tight end. So there's certainly players there. And now if they can just kind of figure out what they're going to do with Goff, or maybe get a young guy to sit behind Goff and take over in the future, there's certainly a plan there now. And you have Jameson Williams over the top, Amon-Ra underneath in the short routes. There's certainly what looks like the making of a future really good offense. I was not expecting it. I honestly really thought that they were going to make the Hutchinson pick, hit the home run there at 2, and then at number 32, you were either going to see them take a quarterback to sit and get that fifth-year option, or trade out so someone else can take a quarterback. I didn't expect the Lions to move back up, so that's what surprised me so much, especially come up 20 spots. But I think with the Saints taking Olave, what they did at 11, I think it really opened the door now for, I would have to assume that Jameson was their guy all the way. So when they saw him sitting there at 12, called up the Vikings and moved all the way up. So I was surprised, and I think we're going to look back, and that's going to be a really nice move for Detroit in the long term.
First of all, I'm very excited for the Detroit Lions fans. After all, it's been misery since Matthew Stafford's been gone. Even with Matthew Stafford, it was miserable. But I cannot believe you did not use the word DeAndre Swift. Did you forget about DeAndre Swift?
Oh, I talked about Swift and Williams in the backfield.
I didn't hear that part.
I will bet my life that I said DeAndre Swift. I'll go back and listen.
I got the tape. But regardless of the situation, I was more surprised with Houston selecting Kenyon Green. I was really surprised. The reason I say that, I do want to acknowledge that Nick Caserio did a good job securing extra assets for a 2-spot drop in the first round. I think that was a really good idea, in my opinion. The problem is the Texans used a 15 pick to select a guard that would have been available 10 picks later. I don't think he would have been picked, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a solid player that should be an impact player for Houston for day one because there's nobody even on that team, really. And it's yet another sign that the Texans simply don't understand the value of their draft pick assets. They simply just do not understand. And I don't understand it either. But if the offensive line was such a big issue for Houston, they could have taken offensive tackle Trevor Penning instead, giving them a potential start at the right tackle that is more valuable than a guard, in my opinion. So they could have even tried to trade down again, getting more valuable assets later in the draft, or even simply just taking Green later. But they're going to have a lot of issues moving forward, Houston, okay? Davis Mills ain't a starting quarterback, okay? We all understand that. This team stinks. They're going to stink, but the thing is, why would you take a guard at number 15 when you could have taken a tackle or traded back again and getting more future assets as you try to build Houston up from the ground again? I just didn't understand it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I just didn't know enough about the player in general to make a fair judgment on this. And I think for a team in Houston that needs so many different skill position players, I think that's what makes it a little bit more shocking. It's just going to mainly... He would have to have a really, really good first couple of seasons to make this pick worth it. And he does have versatility, but it is certainly an interesting pick.
You know, I'm going to say, like, he does have an athletic profile. He also has experience to start at guard and tackle. But at the same time, he wrestles way too much. If you saw him at AMM, I mean, I saw him a couple of games last year. He takes a lot of holding penalties, and that could really basically make Texas, their O-line, or excuse me, Houston, their O-line very susceptible to penalties. And especially when you're a rookie at this time of age, you're going to get a lot of penalties. You're going to get caught jumping off sides. So I feel like they could have just done it because they were reaching for this pick. I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but it's just reaching a little too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give my 2 cents here. I don't really follow the draft as much as you guys do, but as a Packers fan, I'll just talk about the picks that they made. Obviously, everyone asking me, hey, how do you feel about not drafting a wide receiver? Yeah, it sucks. Would have liked that draft. Would have liked to have a trade or something so we could have had a nice trade coming up in the earlier rounds. But obviously they went defensive heavy, which I'm not mad about because Kenny Clark needs some help. Rashawn Gary's going to need some help as well. So now they got a big left back from Georgia, and don't worry because they didn't just get one Bulldog. They got another Bulldog as well. So they got 2 Georgia guys in the first round. I really like Devontae Wyatt. I think that was a really good pick for them at what they could have had there. And, defense wins championships. It's like Roger said, which was a very hypocritical comment from him.
We shouldn't be listening to Aaron Rodgers. That's the thing.
Yeah. But
he's not credible.
But, I mean, I'm excited for tonight's draft to see what happens, If I had to take a guess, I think the Packers are going to get a wide receiver sometime within the 3 picks. You think about Devontae Adams. He was a second-round pick, and look how he turned out. So a lot of the Packers usually draft wide receivers in the second round. So I'm not mad. I trust the management, and we'll just have to see what happens from there.